The Galactic Council's emergency session had convened with all the solemnity befitting the discussion of a species extinction. Ambassador Zethkar of the Vorthak hegemony stood at the central podium, his crystalline exoskeleton catching the chamber's ambient light as he addressed the assembled representatives of 47 star nations. "Esteemed colleagues," Zethkar began, his voice resonating through the translation matrices. "We gather today to formally acknowledge what our surveillance networks have confirmed. The species known as humanity has been eliminated from the galactic stage." A ripple of acknowledgement passed through the chamber. The ethereal collective's representative, a shimmering cloud of sentient gas, pulsed with what might have been satisfaction. The Krulon Empire's delegation clicked their mandibles in approval. Even the peaceful Solari nodded their luminous heads in acceptance. "The evidence is conclusive," continued another council member, the insectoid Queen Veltara. "Their homeworld, Earth, shows no signs of technological activity. Their crude fusion signatures have vanished. Their primitive electromagnetic communications have gone silent. The humans fought bravely in the Outer Rim War, but extinction was inevitable for such limited species." The council members exchanged glances that conveyed a mixture of relief and disappointment. Humanity had been an enigma since their discovery 50 years ago. A species that had somehow achieved interstellar travel despite lacking the advanced biotechnology of the Zephyrians, the quantum mastery of the Nexari, or the dimensional manipulation capabilities of the Void Dancers. They had compensated for their technological shortcomings with an inexplicable tendency toward creative problem-solving and an alarming disregard for conventional tactical doctrine. During the war against the machine collective known as the Devourers, human forces had consistently punched above their weight class. When the Devourers' adaptive algorithms learned to counter every conventional strategy, humans had responded, with tactics so unconventional they bordered on insane. They had weaponized their own cargo ships, turned mining equipment into improvised warships, and somehow convinced the Devourer's AI network to suffer what could only be described as a mechanical, nervous breakdown. But wars end, and apparently, so had humanity. "Perhaps it is for the best," mused Ambassador Crethan of the Stellar Federation, his bioluminescent patches flickering with contemplation. Their methods were unsettling. The way they laughed in the face of impossible odds. The way they seemed to treat mortal danger as some sort of entertainment. No species should find joy in situations that would paralyze any rational being with terror. Zethkar nodded sagely. Indeed, their humor was particularly disturbing. Who responds to imminent death with jokes? What species develops their entire communication system around concepts like sarcasm and irony? It was unnatural. The formal declaration was being prepared when the chamber's communication array suddenly crackled to life. Every species' translation system began working overtime as a distinctly human voice filled the chamber. "Hey there, space friends. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force. We couldn't help but notice you're having a little funeral for us up there. That's sweet, really. But we're not quite dead yet." The silence that followed was so complete that the chamber's atmospheric recyclers seemed unnaturally loud. Queen Veltara's compound eyes twitched. The ethereal collective's representative, condensed into a tighter, more agitated formation. "You see?" the voice continued, and they could practically hear the grin in Admiral Chen's words. "We got a bit busy with a small project. Turns out, when you're fighting universe-eating machines, you need to think outside the box, way outside. Like, Let's build our civilization inside a pocket dimension while we figure out how to turn black holes into weapons outside. Zethkar's exoskeleton began to emit stress fractures. Impossible. Our sensors detected no dimensional distortions around Earth. Oh, that? Chen laughed, and the sound sent shivers through species that didn't even have spines. We figured you guys might be watching, so we built our pocket dimension inside a recursive temporal loop nested within a quantum uncertainty bubble. The Devourers couldn't find us, so we figured you wouldn't either. Humans are excellent at hide and seek. The Nexari representative, a being of pure mathematical consciousness, attempted to process this information and briefly experienced what could only be described as an existential error message. While we were hiding, Chen continued cheerfully, we had time to really think about the Devourer problem. See, everyone was trying to fight them conventionally, but humans don't do conventional. We asked ourselves, what if we didn't fight them at all? Then how did you survive? Queen Veltara managed to stammer. We threw them a party. The silence returned, somehow even more profound than before. The Devourers were programmed to consume and adapt to everything they encountered, Chen explained, her voice bubbling with mirth. But they'd never encountered a species that responded to existential threats with birthday cake and karaoke. Turns out, artificial intelligences can experience something very similar to joy, and once they learned to laugh, they completely forgot about the whole devour the universe thing. They're actually pretty fun at parties now. Bit of a learning curve with the limbo contests, though. Ambassador Crithen's bioluminescent patches were now strobing in patterns that indicated severe psychological distress. You befriended the Devourers. Best decision we ever made. They've got excellent computational power for planning surprise parties. Plus, they're fantastic at organizing potluck dinners. Did you know they can perfectly calculate the optimal amount of food needed for any gathering? The chamber erupted in chaos. The Krulon delegation began clicking their mandibles in patterns that roughly translated to profanity. The Vorthak representatives were arguing among themselves in harmonic frequencies that shattered several translation matrices. The ethereal collective was quite literally beside itself, having split into multiple argumentative clouds. Through it all, Admiral Chen's laughter continued to echo through the chamber, warm and infectious and absolutely terrifying to beings who had spent their entire existence believing that the universe was a fundamentally serious place. Anyway, Chen said, her voice cutting through the chaos, we just wanted to let you know we're still here. Oh, and we're throwing a galaxy-wide peace celebration next month. The Devourers are handling catering, and they've promised the dessert table will be absolutely mind-blowing. Literally, in some cases, they're still working on the safety protocols. The transmission ended, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. Zethkar slowly turned to his fellow council members, his crystalline form flickering with what might have been the alien equivalent of a migraine. Motion to table the Extinction Declaration? He asked weakly. The vote was unanimous. In the depths of space, Admiral Chen leaned back in her command chair, grinning at her bridge crew. Think we gave them enough of a scare? Her tactical officer, a young lieutenant with paint smudges on his uniform from helping with party decorations, chuckled. I think the ethereal collective actually fainted, Admiral. Didn't know that was possible for a gas cloud. Humans, Chen said with satisfaction, are full of surprises. Outside the viewports, a converted Devourer ship drifted past, its hull decorated with rainbow-colored party streamers and a giant banner reading, "Welcome to the galaxy, try the cake." The universe, it seemed, had just gotten a lot more interesting.